Today, of course, is Thursday, January 23rd here in the off season, and that means we are celebrating
Math Tuesday.
Math Tuesday.
Math Tuesday.
It's Math Tuesday. Here on Texas Football Today. Increasingly the most confusing segment on the internet.
If you don't get it, don't try. Just enjoy it.
Just
sit back, relax, and enjoy everything that's heading your way.
Somebody's like logging onto the internet and they're like, I've heard great things about this podcast, about Texas Football Today. Been going for like 9 years. It's the #1 show about football in the state of Texas. Like, might as well give them a try.
Then there's exploding houses and American flags on Math Tuesday, Thursday edition.
It's Math Tuesday. We're going to talk a little bit about coaching changes because as you can go on TexasFootball.com, you will see that the coaching carousel is spinning wildly. In fact, Matt Stepp told us on Tep and Step yesterday that we are already on a record pace. There are close to, maybe even by now, up to 100 UIL 11-man coaching changes already. Okay? That's basically 1 out of every 12 jobs in the state.
That's insane.
Have changed. And it's only January 23rd. Okay? And by the way, things tend to pick up February and March. This is still the early days of coaching change season. And obviously, coaching changes happen across the state of Texas for a variety of different reasons. Guys want to go back home. Family situations change. They get a better opportunity. They, guys retire. A variety of different reasons. But in the end, you've got these guys stepping into new roles at new programs with the same charge, which is, hey, make this thing into a winner. Now, for some of these programs, that is a matter of simply maintaining the status quo, right? Mart has come open, for example. Whoever gets the job at Mart, their job will more or less to be hey, continue to be one of the very best programs in Texas high school football, right? But there are other programs where a coach has come in and his job is to more or less turn things around and make things better than they were and elevate that program, in many ways get them out of a ditch. And we've seen across the course of history, sometimes that process takes longer than other times. And sometimes coaches can do it in 1 year. Sometimes all it takes is a new voice in the room. Sometimes all it takes is one guy to come in and kind of put his stamp on this program and turn things around. And so what I want to do today on Math Tuesday is take a look at the coaching changes, the first-year coaches in 2024. That is guys who were in new jobs for the 2024 season. Now, some of these guys have obviously had jobs elsewhere.
Yes.
Right? The guys who move positions, but as far as a head coaching job is concerned, they are new to the head coaching chair at that school.
Yeah, it's not like it's just an offensive coordinator that finally got his shot as a head coach.
Right.
It's not that.
Right, and we'll get to a couple of those guys where it's obvious. One particular place that I think it's very interesting that you'll see that pays particular dividends to have that experience. But the first place I want to do it, and I want to look at this in a variety of different ways and try to see which coaches were the most successful first-year coaches in Texas high school football. The easiest way, the simplest way to do this, is simply to look at the win column and to say, okay, what did the team do the year before you arrived, and what did the team do the year after you arrived? Right? Plain and simple. And the clear winner here is Wesley Rigdon. Wes Rigdon at Three-Way School, the Braves, he took over a program that was 0-9, and not just 0-9 in 2024, or 2023 rather. They were 0-9. I want to say they were on an 18-game losing streak. They were a grand total of 1-17 in the previous 18 games before he arrived. And all he did was take them to 9-2. A 9-win season, a 9-win improvement is the biggest win improvement in Texas high school football. Wes Rigdon, from that perspective, was the biggest improvement in Texas high school football. From an 11-man perspective, you've got a couple of guys who you've got 3 guys who increased their team's win total by 8 wins. One of them, Jared Jones at Joaquin. Talked about this on Tep and Step. I think that there is a real argument to be made that at what Jared Jones did at Joaquin is one of the most remarkable jobs in the state. He took over a program that was 2-7 at Joaquin and finishes the regular season at 6-4. And if they had gone into their bye district and finished 4th in district, made it in the playoffs, if they had gone into their bye district matchup with Centerville and lost in the first round to district champion Centerville, I think everyone in Joaquin would have been like, all right, you know what, Coach Jones, turning things around. We went from 2-7 to 6-5. Not bad. Things are pointing in the right direction. All he did was run all the way to a state semifinal at 10-5 as a 4th place team. Remarkable what Jared Jones did. Same goes for Steven Jackson at West Mesquite. And by the way, I hate to give Matt Stepp credit, but he called this one. Mm-hmm. When he got that job, he left Seagoville to go to West Mesquite. And Matt Stepp earmarked that and said he's going to win big there in a hurry. And sure enough, he did, taking a 3-7 West Mesquite program and turning them into an 11-1 team. Pretty remarkable. The same goes for Dusty Ortiz. When Dusty Ortiz left Odessa to take the job at Carrollton Creekview, I think there were a fair number of us who were like, well, okay, I guess he just really wants to get to the DFW Metroplex. Well, talk about a ball coaching dude. He takes a winless Carrollton Creekview team and gets them to 8-3 in the playoffs. Pretty remarkable. 3 other guys improved their. You had Wade Lawson at Wascom, did a fantastic job. Took a 3-7 Wascom team, took them to 10-3. Sam Parker, ball coaching dude, took over at Canyon Lake, a 2-8 team, took them to 8-4. And then Rickland Holmes left Tyler High, went to Fort Worth Chisholm Trail, a 1-9 Chisholm Trail team. They ended up going 7-4 in his first year. So from a win total perspective, if you just want to measure it that way, that would be the teams that were the coaches who probably had the best first year improvement in Texas high school football. Okay, but I want to dig a little bit deeper, and because obviously there were win totals ultimately, as the famous man once said, you are what your record says you are. But I want to dig a little bit deeper, and I want to talk about the offensive side and the defensive side, and which teams saw the most improvement on different sides of the ball. And I found this to be a particularly interesting split. We'll take a look at the offense, okay? So the biggest offensive improvement, we're taking a look at points per game average, okay? The winner here is Steven Jackson at West Mesquite, okay? He took over a program at West Mesquite that was averaging a little more than 14 points a game, and they averaged 41.3 points a game. I mean, you're taking an offense that was pretty poor and taking them to like borderline elite. If you're averaging more than 40 points a game, you're doing something right.
You can score.
You can score. They scored, think about that. That is scoring 4 more touchdowns per game. Mm-hmm. Okay. Bill Cowley at Hawkins took the Hawks from 22.7 to 46.8 points per game. You're going to look at what Earl Westbrooks did at Houston Sharpstown, and you're going to say, yeah, they only scored 21 points per game. Yeah, but he took over an offense that averaged 1.5 points a game. Okay, he took one of the very worst offenses in all of Texas high school football, and he got them to respectable levels. That is a remarkable job, right? Efren Ramos at La Mesa did fantastic work there, turning that around. El Paso Irvin got a huge boost from Coach Jonathan Elliott, an improvement of 18 points per game. Same goes what Matthew Woodard did at Rio Vista, going from 14 points a game to 32 points a game. Again, you're going from 14 points a game. You can't win ball games consistently at 14 points a game. 32 points a game, you're in every ball game. Plain and simple. And then Dusty Ortiz. We mentioned him. What he did at Carrollton Creekview happened there. What I think is really interesting about this list is that you've got a fair number of coaches who have been coaches before, as well as younger guys getting their first shot at coaching jobs. I want you to contrast that with the next graphic, which is the biggest defensive improvement of Texas high school football coaches, for first-year coaches. Okay? Rickland Holmes takes the top spot. Okay? Took over a Chisholm Trail defense that gave up 48 points a game down to 22. A 26-point per game improvement. Steven Jackson at West Mesquite. Dusty Ortiz, there he is again. Sam Parker at Canyon Lake. Jason Garrett did a fantastic job at Dallas Roosevelt. Not talked about enough. Did a terrific job. Chad Worrell at Pilot Point. Alan Hare at Gerald. All their teams, they have between 19 and 26 points per game. They shaved off their points allowed per game average. Here is what, to me, is most remarkable. I believe with the exception, I want to make sure I get this right. I believe with the exception of Jason Garrett. By the way, it's not that Jason Garrett.
Yeah, I was like, it's not the Jason Garrett you're thinking of.
Let me be very clear. It's
now, Jason Witten is, but not Jason Garrett. So
with the exception of Jason Garrett at Dallas Roosevelt, every one of those guys was a head coach somewhere else. Okay? Rickland Holmes, Steven Jackson, Dusty Ortiz, Sam Parker, Chad Worrell, Alan Hare. Some of them veteran coaches. Chad Worrell is a state champion head coach. Alan Hare has coached at the very highest levels, right? Rickland Holmes has had great teams at Tyler High. Sam Parker did terrific things. I think this is really interesting. That if you want to, because you hear offense wins games, defense wins championships. If you want to see that improvement on the defensive side, generally speaking, you go to more veteran coaches. Mm-hmm. You go to guys who have been those culture builders. And I wonder if there's something there. This is me speculating here, but I wonder if there's something to the idea of it is, I don't want to say easier, but for new coaches who are just now, getting their first head coaching job, I think changing the culture around offense may be a easier lift than changing the culture around defense. Mm-hmm. And you've got veteran guys, veteran coaches who instilled a defensive mindset here that I wonder if there is something to be said about having those guys who have been head coaches before that allow you to improve the defense in a single year. Because these guys, you're talking about shaving 3 to 4 touchdowns per game off of your defensive average.
That's crazy.
That is a program shifting move. Look at, plain and simple, look at what Dusty Ortiz did at Carrollton Creekview.
Yep.
Okay? They were giving up 47 points a game. You cannot win like that. Mm-mm. Plain and simple. But 24 points a game? Yeah, you're in every ball game. You can win every game with 24 points per game. It was really, really interesting to dive into these numbers there. Who was the best first-year coach in Texas high school football? I would probably look at somebody like Steven Jackson or Dusty Ortiz. I think those would be on the short list. I think Sam Parker at Canyon Lake gets that nod as well, because these are guys who appeared on every one of these lists. Rickland Holmes at Chisholm Trail as well. But there were a lot of really good first-year coaching jobs there, some of which show up in the numbers right here. But an interesting look at which teams had the biggest turnaround under a first-year head coach. And by the way, we get to do this again next year, because the carousel is spinning with some big openings there across the state of Texas. So we will have you covered for every coaching change at texasfootball.com.